West Memphis, Arkansas. Get ready to go worldwide. Let's get it on.
This was one that really haunted me. I remember when it all kind of came down, when I first saw the documentaries. Yeah, I've chosen West Memphis 3, the Robin Hood Hills case, Damien Echols and Miskelly and Baldwin. I remember watching the documentary Paradise Lost when it first came out. I remember a lot of comedians really watched this because they realized, oh, if not for a few lucky breaks based on where we grew up and the weirdo misfits we were, if we had gotten into similar insane circumstances like the West Memphis 3, God knows what could have happened to us.
Do you feel that the people that did this were worshiping
Satan? Yes, I do.
Why?
And just look at the freaks. I mean, just look at them. They look like punks. God. On TV.
Just the fact that Satanic Panic was brought in as part of this when, well, one of them wears a heavy metal t-shirt. So there you go. That's all the evidence we need. And that's really terrifying. And also just the fact that they're so obviously innocent. When you watch the documentary, they're so obviously innocent. There's so much other shenanigans going on around them. Yes, it's very entertaining, but it's terrifying and frustrating because you want to just reach in and rescue these kids that are about to, go down for something they so clearly didn't do. I did benefit concerts for them. I tried to signal boost fundraisers as best I could. And I got to know some of the people that were working on the case, the volunteers and stuff. But it was more just about, I think, and I remember doing a lot of comedy benefits for them because a lot of comedians were really related to these kids. Like I remember being sullen and misfit and outcast growing up. And I could see like there's that moment. It's so heartbreaking where it's almost like Damien Echols has been so beaten down by what's been going on that he almost embraces if you want me to be the boogeyman, I'll be the fucking boogeyman.
People are going to remember me forever. They're going to talk about me for years. People in West Memphis will tell their kids stories. It'll be like, sort of like I'm the West Memphis boogeyman. Little kids will be looking under their bed before they go to bed. Damien might be under there.
And you want him to, you want to go, don't do this. But also I could totally see myself doing that. Going, fine, if the whole fucking town says that I'm the head Satanist, then fine, I'll be the like, I get that. I get how that level of frustration, but oh God, it's so heartbreaking. No, but I totally understand why especially there's a certain kind of person that grew up a certain kind of way that absolutely understands that. It's the scene in Breakfast Club where Bender is just basically giving himself more attention because he's like, I want some agency.
The next time I have to come in here, I'm cracking skulls.
So if my only agency is putting it on myself, I'll take it because I have no other control over my life. Anything that kissed up against the darkness was seen as a threat. I remember there was all this panic about Dungeons and Dragons. There was panic about Stephen King novels. There was panic about, there was post-punk and then then there's a rising metal culture panic going on. Panic about all the horror movies and slasher movies. It was, we're going to send kids down the wrong path. But then seeing the 3 kids, Damien, Miskelly and Baldwin, like actually getting life in prison and death row for stuff that in my mind was always like, well, yeah, there's always going to be some old square that yells at you, but they're not going to put you in jail for it. And then suddenly, oh my God, this is actually, that just must have been the most surreal nightmare for those people. There were so many darkly ironic, I don't want to say that they were funny, but it was so like, everyone was like, oh, Damien Echols, like Damien the Omen, of course. And it's like, no, actually,
I forgot about that
changed his name. He changed his name to Damien because when he was younger, he was super into Catholicism and really worshipped this guy, Father Damien, who treated the lepers on Molokai. So that's why he changed his name to Damien. And now, of course, it's coming back to bite him in the ass because all these dumb rubes, all they know that from is from the Omen movie, which, by the way, the central figure in evangelicals' lives is not God or Jesus. It's the devil. And they know everything about the devil. And it was so ironic that these religious people didn't realize, no, he took that name because of a beautiful religious person that went and helped the sick. The only association you have with that name is this satanic movie that you probably went and saw. I've watched the documentaries. I talked to people that worked on the case. I know more in terms of how it turned out, in terms of what the Alford plea is and why. Yes, they're out of prison. But again, that plea was there to more protect the system than to protect them. As far as the day-to-day timeline, that I'm not that familiar with. I know a lot of the huge discrepancies that were overlooked. The fact that the 3 kids did not have a car. How did they, the 3 little boys were killed somewhere and then transported to that creek. If these kids didn't have a car, how did they transport? Like, there are so many things that should have immediately set them free that just weren't, because, like you said, confirmation bias. We've got our supervillains here. We're not going to let them go. And also there was an unspoken thing of, even if they didn't kill these kids, isn't it good that we get these 3 Satanists off the street? There was an unspoken feeling that was so terrifying. Even the 46 minutes that you hear the cop going, "Don't you mean this instead?" Right. Yeah. So like, it's hey, you're fucking fired, dude. Hand your badge over. Was there no blood at the scene where the kids were found? In other words, there wasn't any so they clearly weren't killed there. I know about both of them, and I will say I am just as guilty as I think a lot of the West Memphis residents of, they looked at Damien and his friends and went, "Oh, heavy metal, Satanists." I watched that first documentary, and Mark Byers does not come off good at all.
I'm going to come to your graveside. I'm going to spit on you. I'm going to curse the day you were born. And I'm sure while I'm standing there, I'm going to have other bodily functions let go upon your grave.
I'd say this one here is for you, Jesse, and we're going to go for the jug of water. Oh, Jesse, I done blowed you half in 2, son.
It feels like he's basically dancing on screen every other minute and accidentally confessing to the crime. Turns out, he doesn't look good in the documentary. He is a grieving, probably insane, very clearly very religious.
We had to sit there and tell ourselves, God grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
He has since died, who doesn't look good in the documentary, but I don't think he had anything to do with it. As much as you'd like to think that he is, it just because, again, my biases looking at him were like, this is clearly the killer, but I don't think it was him. Terry Hobbs is a different story. And again, like you said earlier, when a child dies, you talk to the parents first, and you look at and that is he is nothing but red flags. He also wrote a very creepy and self-serving memoir called Box Full of Nightmares, which is something else. Some of it, yeah. You're like, oh boy. By the way, do you think that some of this was brought on first, obviously by the bias of, oh, look at these satanic kids, but also was a lot of this because I know that the state police wanted to get involved in the case, and the local police were like, we can handle this. And they'd never handled anything of this magnitude before. And this just sounds like amateur hour mistakes, that they didn't know what the procedure was, and they kept messing up. The state prosecutor, this is a career-making case. They probably made a ton of money off of this. They built an empire on this. Right now, I'm just saying, I'm just going to use the old Scottish plea, not proven. Oh, yes, absolutely. Innocent. My God. They had the unqualified dipshit expert witness, literally the professional Remember that satanic guy that came in that literally got his degree from a degree? It was pathetic.
What classes did you take between 1980 and 1982 to obtain your master's degree? What classes?
I testified.
I'm asking what classes? What classes did you take?
I told you, I answered that before, none.
But again, you're on the side of you're trying to protect the innocent. That is what law enforcement should be doing. It's not that so much that you're prosecuting evil, it's that you're protecting the innocent. That should be its main function. The world of true crime to me is very, very depressing because it really speaks to a lot of mental illness gone untreated, poverty shaming, gleefully done, just this constant cycle, the creating of monsters. And it really gives me a bad view of humanity in the world, and I just don't like it.
That's what I'll be with.